What if that refreshing glass of water you drink every morning is secretly undermining your health? Not the water itself, that life-giving elixir we all need, but the way you're consuming it might be triggering everything from mysterious nausea to hidden organ stress that accumulates over time. While health experts endlessly praise morning hydration, they've remained suspiciously silent about the dangerous pitfalls lurking in this seemingly innocent habit, especially for seniors whose bodies react with heightened sensitivity. Your entire system, from your hard-working kidneys to your digestive tract to your steadfast heart, operates within an incredibly delicate balance that depends on perfect timing, proper quantities, and the right context. That moment when you first open your eyes, your body exists in its most vulnerable state of the entire day. Hormones shifting like tectonic plates, blood pressure recalibrating, electrolyte levels at their lowest ebb. If you flood this finely tuned system incorrectly, you might not feel the consequences immediately, but make no mistake, the damage is silently accumulating. Think about Eleanor, a vibrant 76-year-old who religiously began each morning with ice-cold water straight from the refrigerator. She craved that awakening jolt, that throat-clearing freshness that made her feel instantly alert. But alongside that momentary pleasure came perplexing symptoms, stomach cramps that seemed to appear from nowhere, mysteriously cold fingers, and sluggish digestion that plagued her until afternoon. When her doctor finally connected these dots, the revelation was stunning. That freezing water was essentially shocking her system at its most vulnerable moment. During sleep, your internal organs settle into a gentle rhythm, blood vessels slightly constricted, digestive tract dormant, and suddenly sending ice-cold liquid through this peaceful pipeline is like slamming on the brakes when your car engine has barely warmed up. For younger bodies with resilient systems, this thermal shock might go unnoticed, but for seniors with naturally slower metabolisms, it creates cardiovascular stress that manifests as throbbing headaches, waves of dizziness, or that peculiar lingering chill in your chest. When Eleanor switched to room temperature water, the transformation wasn't just noticeable, it was life-changing. Her stomach stopped knotting, her hands stopped trembling, and mornings transformed from a battleground to a sanctuary of comfort. The pace of your morning hydration matters just as profoundly as the temperature. Consider Walter, a disciplined 72-year-old former coach who approached hydration with military precision. Wake up, stretch, and immediately down an entire bottle of water before his feet even touched the floor. His mysterious bouts of dizziness baffled both him and his family until his physician identified the surprising culprit. By flooding his system before it had stabilized from sleep, he was triggering a physiological cascade that his aging body couldn't handle. When you're transitioning from sleep to wakefulness, every bodily system exists in heightened sensitivity, your stomach lining unprepared for sudden volume, your heart rate still adjusting to consciousness, your blood pressure finding its daytime rhythm. Chugging water forces your kidneys into emergency overdrive, violently shifts your electrolyte balance, and suddenly expands your stomach, potentially triggering acid reflux or that peculiar lightheaded sensation that seems to materialize from thin air. When Walter simply slowed down, sipping his water mindfully over 15 to 20 minutes instead of gulping it down, those troubling symptoms vanished completely. Hydration isn't a task to be checked off your morning list. It's a sacred rhythm your body needs to dance with, especially during those first fragile moments when your system is reawakening. Sometimes the danger isn't the water itself, but what's containing it. Stanley, at 78, prided himself on staying impeccably hydrated, always keeping a refilled plastic water bottle beside his bed for convenient morning sips. That bottle sat faithfully on his nightstand, sometimes catching warm lamplight or morning sunshine streaming through his curtains. When persistent headaches and mysterious bloating developed, symptoms that defied explanation through diet or medication changes, his nutritionist made a startling discovery. That innocent plastic bottle, especially when exposed to warmth or sunlight, was quietly leaching chemicals like BPA and other endocrine disruptors into his water, chemicals that mimic hormones in your body and interfere with how your glands naturally function. For seniors already navigating the complex landscape of blood sugar management, blood pressure regulation, or thyroid conditions, this subtle chemical interference can silently destabilize everything you're working to maintain. When Stanley switched to glass and stainless steel containers, the transformation wasn't immediate but profound. His symptoms gradually eased, and his energy stabilized for the first time in months. These seemingly insignificant chemical exposures might seem trivial in isolation, but for aging bodies where every additional burden matters enormously, they force your liver to work harder while your hormones struggle desperately for balance they can never quite achieve. Morning medications introduce yet another layer of complexity to this hydration puzzle. Consider Margaret, a meticulous 80-year-old who couldn't understand her persistent morning nausea despite perfect blood work and consistent eating habits. The mystery unraveled when her doctor observed her morning routine, taking thyroid medication with a large glass of water on an empty stomach, then eating breakfast shortly after. What most of us don't realize is that your digestive system isn't simply a passive pipeline. It's a sophisticated orchestra of enzymes, fluids, and precisely timed processes. Flooding it with water, especially after certain medications, can profoundly alter absorption rates, potentially rendering expensive prescriptions less effective or irritating your stomach lining without any obvious cause. By making the smallest adjustment, switching to just a small sip with a pill and waiting a full 45 minutes before breakfast, Margaret's nausea disappeared completely, and astonishingly, her next blood test showed her medication working more efficiently than it had in years. Our bodies evolve with age. Our physiological responses shift in subtle ways, and what worked perfectly for decades might suddenly require thoughtful recalibration. Alice's story reveals perhaps the most dangerous but overlooked morning water mistake of all. At 69, she embraced what she believed were cutting-edge health trends, boosting metabolism with water and practicing intermittent fasting by skipping breakfast entirely. Initially, she lost weight and felt accomplished, but then disturbing symptoms emerged without warning. Her daughter noticed increasing forgetfulness and repetitive conversations that seemed to worsen by midday. Her previously sunny disposition darkened unexpectedly, and a bone-deep fatigue settled into her days. When comprehensive medical tests revealed no diagnosable condition, her doctor asked about morning nutrition practices. The revelation was simple yet profound: water alone, especially when your body is in a fasting state with critically low glucose levels, leaves your brain desperately seeking fuel and your muscles without essential nutrients to function properly. When Alice added just a small protein-rich breakfast, eggs with fresh berries or oatmeal topped with nuts, her energy returned almost immediately, her mental focus sharpened dramatically, and she reclaimed her true personality. Water certainly jumpstarts circulation and rehydrates thirsty cells, but it cannot provide the carbohydrates or protein your brain and body absolutely require for optimal function. Following water with caffeine without any nutritional foundation only intensifies this effect, creating jitteriness, anxiety, or emotional flatness easily misdiagnosed as age-related decline. These insights don't demand dramatic lifestyle overhauls, just thoughtful adjustments that honor the body you have today, not the one you possessed 20 years ago. Perhaps it means warming your water slightly before drinking, sipping contemplatively instead of gulping frantically, finally replacing that repeatedly reused plastic bottle, or incorporating a small nutrient-dense breakfast before hydration. These seemingly minor, mindful changes often protect our comfort, clarity, and confidence most powerfully as we navigate the natural aging process with grace. The fact that you've remained engaged through this exploration reveals something profound about who you are, someone who pays attention to subtle details, who cares deeply about long-term well-being, who remains beautifully curious and open to learning at every stage of life. That mindset itself strengthens your days more than any single health practice ever could. I invite you to experiment with just one of these adjustments tomorrow morning. Notice how dramatically differently your body responds when treated not with mindless routine, but with genuine respect for its changing needs. Share which insight resonated most deeply with you today in the comments below. Your experiences matter enormously to this community, and hearing your thoughtful reflections inspires all of us to continue creating content that makes a genuine difference in your everyday well-being. Thank you for investing this time in yourself. Your body has carried you faithfully through every season of life, and it deserves this moment of thoughtful consideration.